What's up guys, BARRYGAMING here, back with some more Project Diablo 2, and since you guys seem to love the new Rapture Proc Elite Barb, I figured I'd show you guys one of my other super favorite proc builds that is in Project Diablo 2. Both these are by no means meme status, and this is actually, in my opinion, the best Werewolf build you can actually kind of do because it has AoE, it has single target damage, and it's just a ton of fun with increased survivability. So you're going to see a wolf zooming around, sending out a ton of twisters. Yes, the spells twisters. You're going to be procking a ton of those all over the place. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So here we have it, our little furry guy here, Werewolf. You can see him pouncing all over the place. And let's start by talking about his gear because, well, it all comes down to one of two different options on weapons. Number one is the Windhammer. Well, I should say there's one of three options. The third one's a less popular one. I think the most popular version of this build involves a non-ethereal Windhammer. And that's because you want to try to get to 153% attack speed on your weapon. If you guys didn't know, any of these werewolf form, you don't get any extra bonuses from like fanaticism aura, anything like that. No off weapon IS doesn't happen. All IS to depend on what his attack speed is going to be has to be on weapon, and by doing a full weapon of shales you can get to 160, which breaks that last breakpoint, and we're hitting at 3 frames per second. Now that's really important because we are proccing a ton of stuff. You can see right here on the Windhammer itself, 33% chance to cast level 35 Twister. Now we have recently received buffs to both Twister and Tornado on this very last beta patch that we had for season 10. So it kind of works out because these aren't just mean quality twisters. We also have double Carrion Wind, which you can do a couple different things with, but this is another essentially 16% chance to cast level 30 twisters, and is a nice little bonus. Now the way this works is we are going into all of the twister synergy, so you don't put any points except for the one mandatory into the actual skill twister, but you see down the bottom there, Hurricane, Tornado, and Arctic Blast. Those are the ones that give synergy bonuses. So we're maxing out Tornado, we're maxing out Hurricane, which also helps do damage and keep our survivability up, and increasing our skills on Arctic Blast. So there is another variant I do want to talk about really quickly too. Wind in a Fang Knife. You're going to be at like 5 frames per attack on this one, but this one has a chance to proc Twister or Tornado. The bonus of this is you can run Headhunter's Glory yourself, which is kind of interesting. It gives a lot of survivability tools, especially range defenses. The big part is 12% chance to proc level 31 amp damage versus what you would normally probably run here would be something like an Atma's in the normal build. So just know there's that opportunity. You can run Wind in a Fang Knife with Headhunter's Glory. I personally like the faster attacking Windhammer. That just seems to be the way to go. Now to finish out our skills real quick, put everything you can into Lycanthropy. You're going to max that one out. And then you're going to put remaining points. You're going to kind of just do like 1 on any of the summons you want. And then you're going to put 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, and then put the remaining points into Fury, whatever is left over. Now, if you are doing the variant with the Wind Fang Knife, you can also max out Twister, because if you are proccing Tornadoes, Twister is one of those synergies for Tornado. Again, I personally don't like that strategy. I like doing the Windhammer, but I want to make sure you guys knew this was an option. You can also use something like Horizons or something like that as a weapon as well. This is going to be a little hard to find though. If you do go with something like an F version of Windhammer here, that is something that is viable. Just know you're only hitting 140%, so I think you're at the 4 frame point or 4 frame break point. But if you want more single target damage, that will be good. Now, a cheap armor that you can wear is Rain, because Rain has another 20% chance to cast level 25 Twister. It does give you plus skills, which helps you out. Mana when you take damage. It's not the best option. I like it for the meme's sake. In reality, most people will most likely want to run Resonance on this because of that level 12 Blade Shield. It's also giving you plus skills. A couple other things that are nice. It's only a Gull and Zod, so it's not crazy, but getting Innocence early on, especially with Zod being like 3 high runes nowadays, is expensive. If you want to go more for a single target damage type build and you want to go with like the Eth Windhammer, I'd probably recommend going Fortitude, because that's going to put more damage on your actual Fury attack. So just keep that in mind. That is very important. Again, I just like the really cheap option early season is Ortmal Ith. Very, very cost effective to build. You get plus skills, you get a ton of mana, lightning res, magic damage reduction, mana from hits, all this fun stuff, and some additional twister procs. It can be pretty good. Like I said, if you're running this version, running an Atmas is usually a good idea, because the other options are like High Lords. That increased attack speed isn't doing much. You are getting additional skills and Deadly Strike. Keep that in mind. Another one, if you want to go for higher all res, just going for Saracen is going to give you ED, stats, curse resistance, and all resistances. In reality, though, I prefer the Atma setup. Now, you are doing all physical damage even with those twisters, so Soul Drainers, that is the way to go. It gives you both your mana, or at least some of your mana and life leech on it. It's most importantly giving you that minus 5% enemy physical resistances. That does not exist very often, so that is a really good one. Again, Belt, String of Ears, just kind of the go-to for melee abilities, and Gore Rider. Like we talked about in our Rapture build, there's a lot of options for this. You can kind of drop off like the Gore Riders and go for a more tanky setup. Heck, you can do that with your chest piece too if you want to go for more physical damage reduction. All those things are possible, and me personally, I like running Jalal's main here, giving you shapeshift skills, druid skills, faster hit recovery, all these things, energy, strength, all res, cannot be frozen. That's kind of like the Chamroon thrown in there. In reality, if you're not gonna run like a Chamroon or something like that, probably dropping one Carrion Wind for a Raven, probably a pretty good idea. But as you guys can see, very straightforward gearing setup here. You're going for shape-shifting skillers. You don't necessarily need to go for like max AR charms or anything like that. And then you can fill in with like some damaging charms, with some all-res charms, things like that to fill it in. So you can see right here, we're basically going strength up to, I believe it's 225 at a minimum to equip the Windhammer. Dexterity, I always like going to like 100 dexterity on any of my melee builds just to give a decent amount of hit rating. Granted, most of our damage is coming from procs and not necessarily direct hits, and then the rest into vitality. You can see right here, our resistances are not great, and this is where, you know, the boot slot for like a tri-res boot, heck, even the chest piece can be a good option. It's why I also like Jalal's, because we're already running really low on all res already, and this can definitely help you out. Moving over to the Merc, Cranium Basher, just getting something on an Act 5 Merc that's procking amplified damage, really good. And again, Cyclopean Roar, it's really hard to beat this Mercenary with that. We can also give some Templar's Might, some Life Leech, PDR, cannot be frozen. Very, very easy Merc setup, because technically it doesn't need to be this like 6-shield Cranium Basher. Just throw anything on him and it should work fine. Alternatively, you can also use an Act 2 Merc, a Defiance Merc, which is going to give you 10% physical damage reduction. That can help you survivability-wise. Throw on a cheap, I think we actually have one in our stash right here. Oh, I had it somewhere. I might have put it on a different character. Just Reaper's Toll. It's a very, very easy, cheap option that is really good to go. And I'm going to show you guys the Rain variant here. Now, again, very, very flexible on what type of armor you're using here. But as you guys can see, the damage of this build is pretty significant. Again, we want to make sure Hurricane is up, because that does help our survivability. It does put that cold damage on the enemies. And another thing you can do is you can use Feral Rage if you want to as well, for some movement speed and stuff. But you can see right here, we are just right-click holding on this, and it's pretty solid. It's not as good, I think, as the Rapture Barbarian that I showed you guys yesterday, but it is a very, very smooth build overall. It's a little bit slower, and it does have a chance for you to actually take some chunk damage. AR plays a little bit more of a role here too, but you can see it is very, very smooth. Just right-click holding, moving across the screen. Very, very solid, and this is a really fun build because it adds some AoE damage to a melee build outside of the splash damage you're used to seeing. And you see, we're just using a ranged chest piece, and we're still getting a crazy amount of twisters everywhere. It looks pretty good, right? We're getting tons and tons of hits. Now, what I can show you guys is I can just hit the W key here, and I can show you the rate of the Wind version. You can see we're attacking much, much slower here. I don't personally like it. It does have more tornadoes that you spawn. You can see the little random, you see the twisters like streak out everywhere, whereas the tornadoes, they kind of linger and move around. I don't like the AI of tornadoes either. Twisters are just so much more reliable with how they spread out, and you can see those twisters are putting them into a hit recovery animation, which is part of the survivability that this build has that a normal Fury build kind of lacks. You're hitting them all the way off, like, to the edge of the screen here. Watch all the way down in the corner. The cows that aren't even to us yet are getting hit by those twisters, and they are taking damage. They're getting put into hit recovery, and this is why I absolutely love this build. So definitely number 2 on my proc builds out there, and probably 2 of the only super serious versions. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions about breakpoints or anything, again, Windhammer is cool. You're going to go through a lot of durability. That is why some people prefer to just lose 1 breakpoint and they go for the Eth version. The Eth version, you know, it just helps a little bit to do more single target damage. You can see it's only 1 frame difference, so we're still attacking at 4 frames here, which is still extremely fast. I don't know which one is going to be the more expensive option, to be honest. I will say there are other opportunities if you want to ramp up single target damage to use EDIS jewels too that are going to be very costly. But again, making sure you're at the correct breakpoints in this build is very important. Again, not a fan of that speed. I like this speed right here. Oh wait, sorry. I like this speed right here. I like this one. Going as fast as possible. It just, I mean, 3 frames per second just looks so good. If I could just actually keep my weapon on. There we go. You can immediately tell the difference with this build when you hit the right breakpoint. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'm going to have probably 1 or 2 more guides coming up, maybe for Barbarian for this season. And then when the season starts, I might show you guys a couple other highlights. Sadly, I didn't decide to do these guides until like the end of the beta. If in the future you guys actually enjoy these, please leave a comment down below. I usually play melee characters, but that doesn't mean just Barbarian or Druid. I like playing, you know, Lightning Strike, Amazon, Fend Amazon. I like playing anything melee oriented. Heck, I might even make a Charge Paladin in the future too. We'll have to see. But let me know what you guys think. I love this build. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.